Are you thinking about moving to Atlanta, Georgia? Today, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Atlanta. Stay tuned to find out if this vibrant city is right for you. Hey, I'm Allison.
And I'm Jennifer, and we are realtors and moms living in the North Atlanta suburbs. We make videos on what it's like to live here. So if you're moving here or you have any questions, check out our videos. Let's jump in.
So let's get started with the first pro, which is going to be the thriving job market. Atlanta is known for a very strong job market in industries like film, healthcare, and technology. These industries are really hot right now, and they offer numerous opportunities for people living and moving into the Atlanta area.
Some of the big ones are like Coca-Cola, which is located downtown. We've got UPS here. We've got Fiserv if you're looking for somewhere in the North Atlanta suburbs. Don't forget Home Depot, and just right outside the city limits in Smyrna on the perimeter.
Yeah, if you move to Atlanta, it's going to be hard for you to not know someone that works at Home Depot.
Yeah. We also have Arby's here, and that's located in Sandy Springs, which we've talked about in different videos as well, and that's just on the northern perimeter, just on the north side of Atlanta.
And of course, the tech sector has a fair share of these companies as well. We have Fiserv, MailChimp, Cox Communication, and then of course we have Georgia Tech, which is offering a lot of opportunities for technology and entrepreneurship within Atlanta.
And then something newer to Atlanta, but has really taken off, is film production. A lot of people don't know that a lot of these popular TV shows and movies are filmed in and around the Atlanta area. We've got Walking Dead, which is outside of Atlanta in Sonoya, but that was a big one.
Yeah.
We've got Stranger Things, the Marvel franchise. A lot of that was filmed here. Tony Stark, if you're a fan, his cabin is right outside of Atlanta in Fairburn. Cobra Kai was filmed here.
Oh.
And I actually was an extra in that, so there's those kind of opportunities
This
there
is news
too.
to me. You're famous.
I know. So anyway, the film industry is really taken off here. It's fun. You see the signs, the like secret coded signs all over the place, and I think Atlanta in general has gotten used to that. But it used to be not that many years ago where it was just a really big novelty. So Atlanta's kind of been called like the Hollywood of the South, I guess.
And of course, like we mentioned, the healthcare industry is drawing jobs from all across the country. So lots of opportunities here in Atlanta, definitely considered a pro. Another pro in Georgia is our low business taxes. So in Georgia, the taxes are quite favorable for businesses, which a lot of companies are recognizing, and that's one of the big reasons they're moving here.
Yeah, so one of the key factors in making it favorable for companies to move to Georgia, that Georgia was one of the first states in the Southeast to adopt a single factor apportionment, the sales that you make inside of Georgia. So if you're shipping nationally or internationally, you're only taxed on the sales in Georgia, and that's pretty big.
And of course, there's other factors like the low tax rate, there's tax credits that are in place to provide incentives for companies to move here.
So while job opportunities are abundant here and there's tons of industries moving in, it also makes Atlanta super popular. And so with the popularity of Atlanta, it obviously creates competition and people wanting to move here because of the jobs. For other factors too, which we're going to talk more about, like the housing market and things like that. Yes, there are jobs, and yes, that brings a lot of competition.
So with that brings us to our second pro, the cost of living in Atlanta. And of course, what Jen said is true. We are getting a lot of transplants into the Atlanta area. However, if you compare the cost of living here to, let's say, California, New York, Massachusetts, places like that, you're going to find you get a lot more for your money here, and I think a higher quality of life.
Yeah, and as of second quarter of 2024, Merrick data ranked Georgia number 12 out of all the states in terms of the cost of living being affordable.
So as part of this is our lower taxes. Georgia offers relatively low taxes compared to that national average, and in many of the counties, you're going to find great tax benefits, including the homestead tax deduction and also senior tax incentives as well. These incentives really vary from county to county, so Jen and I can help you out with that when you start exploring the area.
So, and just to give you an idea, the median real estate tax payment in Georgia is right at about $2,000 a year.
Wow.
Which is going to be about $800 less a year than the national average pays in property taxes.
Now let's keep in mind with that, that's looking at the entire state of Georgia, and it's really fair to say that Atlanta is the most expensive market within the state.
So one of the big things that Allison, you just touched on was the senior tax exemption, and I think a lot of seniors that are moving to the area or moving even from different counties in the area are really pleasantly surprised by the senior tax breaks that certain counties have. I mean, it can be significant. It can cut your taxes by more than half when you're not having to pay the school tax, and that's basically what this tax exempts you from.
So, of course, we can't talk about the pro without also mentioning the con, and this goes back to cost of living and home prices in Atlanta. So as popularity has grown in places like Buckhead, Midtown, and some of the North Atlanta suburbs, we have seen prices escalate, which in turn is also making taxes go up as well. And we're seeing a lot of redevelopment in some of the areas that were once considered more affordable. We always say the best time to buy is now, and that's really true because we are seeing more development year after year, more people moving to this area year after year. So jump in now and come to Metro Atlanta before the prices go crazy. If you're considering making a move to the Atlanta area, or if you have any questions about living here, feel free to call us or text us. The number's on the screen, and we're here to help you make the best decision for your move. Contact us today.
So let's go to our third pro, and that is going to be the diverse housing options. I mean, you can find everything in Atlanta, from trendy lofts to bungalows to historic homes to large single-family homes in the suburbs. So much charm and character in a lot of the homes, depending on which area you're looking in. So there really is something for everyone. Some of those neighborhoods that have all this charm would be like Inman Park, Virginia Highlands. These are older neighborhoods. They're established. The homes date back into the 1950s, but they are amazing. And then, you know, if new construction is for you, we've got a whole bust of new construction coming up in the northern suburbs, and Decatur too, which is going to be on the east side of Atlanta, which also has that charm, but a big mix of new construction in there as well.
As part of this new trend in increasing the diverse housing options in Atlanta, we're seeing a lot of master communities pop up, both in town and out of town. So places where you can find commercial, residential, mixed with some community outdoor space and even shopping. I think a lot of buyers moving into the Atlanta area are really seeking this sort of urban suburban lifestyle. And so we can definitely help you explore the newer master plan communities that are really very, very attractive to today's home buyer. I have to say, when I have clients coming in from out of town, I find that they're really impressed with all of the options available. Again, this is a relatively new phenomenon, especially in the suburbs. We're seeing so much new construction pop up, so many different options that people have been quite surprised.
So there's always a con to the pro, and I think for Atlanta's housing market, it's got to be the competition.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's so many opportunities and variety of things to choose from, but the truth is that inventory is still low. So with all of the people coming in, like we just talked about, the housing options, while they're abundant in variety, there's not a lot to choose from at the same time. So competition means higher prices.
The next pro on our list, number 4, is the great weather. So in Georgia, you truly do get 4 seasons. Now, the 4 seasons in Georgia are going to be significantly more temperate than you're going to find in other parts of the country. But if you're a person who enjoys being in the outdoors, it's important to know that we have over 200 sunny days here in Georgia.
Yeah, so in those 200 sunny days, there is so much to do outdoors. I mean, you've got Piedmont Park in the heart of Atlanta. You can go out to the Beltline, which runs all through Atlanta, and we just did a tour on that, so check out that video. There are numerous other smaller parks and dog parks, trails, places to bike ride. We've got outdoor water park, and we've got the old-fashioned classic Six Flags to enjoy too. So, I mean, there's just such a variety of things to do for families, for people that are single, and for people that are a little bit older.
I love spending the weekend with my family outdoors, whether it's a park in the suburbs, like you said, heading in town to go onto one of the Beltlines, or heading over to Kennesaw Mountain to explore the trails. Really a great place for outdoor enthusiasts.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're a family, like, some of the great things to do is just do a pickup game of softball at one of the local parks that has a baseball field. I mean, it's just anything that you feel like doing, and you can pick it up and do it on a whim.
The only downside to that, the con to the great weather, is our summers. In the summer, it's hot and humid. So much so that you're not gonna find people outdoors as much unless they're sitting by a swimming pool. We also do see an occasional severe hurricane or thunderstorm.
Yes, we do. And in fact, I had a tree fall on my house a number of years ago when the remnants of one of the hurricanes came through. So we do get severe weather that can be really scary. However, it's not on a regular basis.
That's right.
It's not something that you have to plan for. It's not something that you have to have an extra insurance for here in Atlanta, but it can happen.
And compared to states like Florida, you're not going to find very many homes in flood zones. There's also a lot of neighborhoods where the electric runs underground, so you have less chances for your power to go out, again, compared to some other states. We also have homes that are really built for this type of weather. So we do have a lot of hard coat stucco, brick, really high quality construction materials for those that have concerns.
Yeah, and you know what? I've heard from clients that have moved from like the Midwest. They love the idea that there are so many basement homes here.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
in their mind, they are coming from areas where you did have to like take cover.
Yeah.
And they love that, you know, you can use a basement for that, and it makes them feel safe moving from those areas.
And of course, allergy season. Atlanta has one of the longest allergy seasons for various reasons, like pollen, mold, and just various native plants that are blooming more than once per year with the unpredictable weather. So it's something to keep in mind. We've talked about this in many videos. Highly recommend that when you come into Atlanta and it's in the spring and even the fall, make sure you have Zyrtec and nasal spray. Very important.
So let's go into number 5, which has got to be the strong education system that we have here. A lot of Atlanta, like mostly northern Atlanta and the North Atlanta suburbs, are really known for the great quality of public schools as well as some elite private schools.
That's right, and there are numerous schools. So of course we have our highly ranked schools in East Cobb and in parts of Fulton County like Alpharetta and Johns Creek. There are also very highly rated schools in Forsyth County. And right now Forsyth County has a little bit more affordability than some of the homes you're gonna find in, let's say, Cobb or Fulton County. There's also a lot of private school options, magnet options that you can enroll into from the various public schools. One of the great public school options within Buckhead is the Sarah Smith Elementary School. Highly recommend you jump online and check out some of the ratings and reviews on that school. For one of the private school options, we have the Atlanta International School, which is really an excellent school located in a beautiful little neighborhood called Garden Hills in Buckhead. Must see if that is something you're interested in. And of course, in East Cobb, we have Walton High School, which is ranked nationally and of course a top school here in Georgia. Some other private school options in town are going to be Westminster, Lovett, Pace Academy, and Woodward, which are some of the top contenders.
And a lot of people, what they will do when they live in like Buckhead and some of these areas that are more in town that maybe don't have the best public schools, because that is one of the cons, that not all of the schools are great. But if you're in some of these areas where, say for example, you mentioned Sarah Smith in Buckhead, it's a phenomenal elementary school. So what a lot of people in those areas will do will be to go there for public and then switch to a private school either in middle or high school. So a lot of the moving around goes on in some of these areas.
Yeah, and even with public schools, I mentioned magnet programs. We have numerous STEM, arts, and IB magnet opportunities that go into the public schools. So again, you're not going to pay anything for these, and they're high quality opportunities. So definitely look into that as well.
And then we also have to talk about the universities, the state universities that are in and around Atlanta. You've got Georgia Tech, that's right there in the heart of Atlanta, which is becoming internationally known and respected. It's an awesome school. You've got Georgia State, which is in town. You've got Spelman College, and you have Emory, which is private, but also one of the elite schools in the country. Those are all at your fingertips in Atlanta. And the great thing about what we have to offer here are the scholarships for the public schools. If you are coming out of high school as a senior, going into these schools, you have opportunities to receive full tuition with the Zell Miller, and you've got to have 3.5 or above to receive that. Or you can get the Hope Scholarship, which is partial tuition with a 3.0 and above entering the school. You can keep that throughout the whole 4 years that you are there, as long as you are maintaining those GPAs. So that's pretty special offering that we have here for state schools. And if you can use that at Georgia Tech, it just sweetens the whole deal with being able to go to a top-rated school.
That's right. We've helped numerous buyers move into this area that are moving here just for Georgia Tech. And it's important to know that you have to have 1 year of residency before you can start taking advantage of these scholarship opportunities. So families are attracted to the top-rated schools that we just talked about, making this an ideal location for anyone who prioritizes education for their kids.
So we mentioned as one of the cons were the schools in some of the areas maybe not being as great. They're a little bit underfunded. So depending on where you are, if schools are important, you really want to pay attention to that.
That's right. And some of the schools that maybe don't necessarily have the highest ratings in Georgia often have a different story if you talk to teachers and parents within those communities. So be sure to take those ratings with a grain of salt. I think the best way to really get a great sense of what a school is like is to talk to people within that community, to look for parent reviews online, in addition to looking at that overall rating for test scores and equity. Number 6 on the pros list is a strong sense of community. So moving to Atlanta from many other parts of the country, you're going to find a welcoming community. If you're moving into the suburbs especially, you're going to kind of instantly start meeting other families, both within your neighborhood and within the schools. There are very active PTAs and foundations, which make growing your community pretty easy.
Yeah, I would say one of the things that people say about the Atlanta area, and even in each individual neighborhood, whether you're in town or in the suburbs, is the ease of making friends and meeting new people and finding your people.
That's right, and Atlanta has great cultural diversity, both in and out of town. This helps offer some distinct flavors, I guess, to neighborhoods, from historic architecture in Grant Park to the lively art scene in Little Five Point. There's also a lot of big events that celebrate the cultural diversity within Atlanta, including the Pride Day Festival, the Atlanta Black Arts Festival, the Atlanta Dogwood Festival, and the Sweetwater 420 Music Festival.
There's just so much connection available when you move here, and it's really surprised a lot of people. I mean, I just had a young couple move here from New York. They have just started their careers, and they moved to one of the suburbs just outside of Atlanta. They were so amazed at how friendly everyone was, how welcoming, bringing the cookies next door to meet your neighbor. And they were really worried because they moved here knowing nobody but each other. And they jumped right in and they fit right in and they love it here now.
One of the downsides to Atlanta is the sprawl. Atlanta, both in town and out of town, is very spread out, especially in some of the northern suburbs. And even when you compare Atlanta to some other major cities, you're gonna find the neighborhoods are pretty spread out. And in town, you're going to find connectivity to these neighborhoods, but out of town, we're not quite there yet. But Atlanta suburbs have not caught up to where we're at in town. But again, because we have so many people moving here from other states and even internationally, there really is this diverse group of people. So within whatever neighborhood you're going to move into, you're going to find people with different cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, political affiliations, you name it, you're going to find your people here.
Our 7th pro is going to be the proximity to outdoor adventures. And we have talked about all of the opportunities if you're an outdoor lover in Atlanta, but it really is true and it's worth being its own separate pro, I think.
Yeah, the parks here are really well maintained. They feel safe for the most part. A lot of community events like we've talked about. So that can feel a little different than some other parts of our country.
Some of the outdoor activities I think that we've touched on a little bit are local lakes. So you've got Lake Lanier if you love boating and being on the water. You've got Stone Mountain to visit if you want to go hiking and get a little bit of education there about Georgia and how the topography is made up. And then of course you've got the Chattahoochee River to paddleboard on, to kayak, canoe, just a plethora of things to do outdoors.
Talking about the lakes and the Chattahoochee is important because we really don't have quick access to the ocean. That's one of the biggest downsides, I think, of Atlanta. But just know that the lakes that Jen mentioned are large and really offer a nice alternative to that beach lifestyle.
And then of course, if you are a golf fan, you will be pleasantly surprised at all the golf courses we have here. There are some really big nationally known golf courses like East Lake Golf Club and the Bobby Jones course. But not only these big ones, a lot of the neighborhoods have golf courses inside their communities. Some of them are open to the public, some of them are exclusive country clubs, but there is so much opportunity if you are a golf fan.
I just love, and I think a lot of people moving here really appreciate that within an hour's drive, you can get to the mountains, you can get to the lake, you can access trails pretty much in whatever community you live in. And even if you want to do wine tasting in one of our vineyards.
Okay, and let's be real, it's not Napa, but you can
true.
go within an hour and just do that with friends and enjoy the time. So it's pretty cool that you have all of these things within an hour's drive.
And with that, our con is the traffic. Now, we talked about things being spread out. We've often talked about the traffic here in Atlanta, and we're notoriously known for our terrible traffic. So depending on when you're going to these different places, it can take a little more than an hour, a little less depending on the day. So I would say that's probably the biggest con. So number 8 on our list for pros is transportation within Atlanta. So if you're inside the city, we have our MARTA system, which makes all areas of this spread out Atlanta pretty accessible, both on the MARTA subway and also our bus system. Also, with the expansion of the Beltline, there are opportunities to connect to different points within the city on foot, on bike. It was really a great investment within the city, and they are working on expanding it even further. Another thing to note that in a lot of the suburbs, they are working on connectivity within the suburbs. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for those to kind of reach in town, but within Johns Creek, within Woodstock, within Alpharetta, you're seeing a lot of trails that offer connectivity and make it easy for people to get around.
So those are all awesome things that are going on when it comes to transportation and things like that in and around Atlanta. I think we have to mention the con though, which is the traffic. Like Allison mentioned earlier, we've talked about this before. The traffic is not good. If you are coming here and you're thinking about moving here, you're just going to have to learn the traffic patterns, what times are good to leave to get to where you want to be in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, some people do their commutes and they're doing them every day that they know when you're going up 75 in the evenings, you stay in one lane to pass all the traffic and then you move lanes. I mean, that's what people start learning.
That's true,
and
yeah.
how they start operating when they're navigating the traffic in the city.
Yeah, it's those little nuances that can really make a big difference.
Yeah. So just a tip or thing to consider is, you know, when you're choosing where you want to live, try to find a location that has everything that you want, but that is also close to your place of work. I think that just offers a better quality of life.
Absolutely.
So you're not spending so much time in the car, you know, white knuckling your steering wheel.
What are some pros and cons that you find in Atlanta that we didn't touch upon today? Drop us a comment. We'd love to learn more about your experiences and talk a little bit more about anything we missed.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. And you can go back. We have so many other videos that you can catch and learn more about the Atlanta area. But reach out to us. Our number's below if you need help, and we will see you next week.